The undefeated Oregon Ducks are moving on to... No, I'm just kidding. That was disgusting.
Quacks.
Ohio State...
Enjoy Cabo, bitches!
Ohio State dominates Oregon 41-21, but I promise it was not as close as this final score
Not
says.
even remotely.
It was 34-0 in the second quarter. If you didn't watch the game, let me repeat that. It was 34-0 in the second quarter. 2 quarters out of 4, 34-0. This was the biggest domination I have seen at the college football playoff level in a very long time. It reminded me a lot of Georgia TCU, but at least
TCU was not supposed to be there.
Yeah, but TCU wasn't supposed to be there. I mean, they did beat Michigan, but they also scored early. Like TCU, it was like Georgia, and then TCU, and then Georgia took it away. This was Ohio State touchdown, Oregon punt, Ohio State touchdown, Oregon punt, Ohio State touchdown, and you're just watching it like, can this end? Is this what's gonna happen? And they laid down and just took it like the Pac-12 bitches they are.
Oh, I love it. Go back.
Big Ten transplants. Ryan, I'm just gonna let you say whatever you want to say. This was a masterclass.
Absolute masterclass all across the board. First off, again, shout out Ryan Day. Came in prepared, came in locked in, immediately used Jeremiah Smith. First drive, 2 catches, like 70 yards, freest. Everything you need.
You're 2 for 2 now, by the way, when you talk directly to Ryan Day on our pregame episodes.
You're welcome. I have this. I have everything locked in for this team. I know everything about this team. I knew this game was actually not going to be close. I didn't think it was going to be like this, belt to ass, but I was thinking more 10-point cushion the entire time, never really a sweat. Maybe at the end of the game a sweat. Everything I saw was perfect. Defense has been unstoppable. We are the best defense in the nation by a mile. We have not let today was the first time since the last Oregon game we've let a team have a passing touchdown on us.
Wow.
Since the last Oregon game.
Real quick, I just want to say the restraint on Mike to not say Texas's defense is better there is unbelievable.
He's giving up 30.
No, he can't say anything. No, but I looked at him when you said it, and he's just like, the words were trying to come out, but he sewed his mouth shut.
Because he didn't want to have a fight live on the pod.
I'd love that.
31
more clicks, more views.
Holy shit. But
click.
Everything about this game was perfect. Like I said, Will Howard, when he gets hot, I think is like a top 3-4 quarterback in college football. He looked... I know people hate that take, but when he gets in rhythm, I don't think I think he's unstoppable. Like, he was making these throws that were perfect over the seam. Emeka, it was just beautiful game. Defense came to play as they have been. These seniors are flying around. I think they know that this is like all in week. This is the team. They know that they're the most dominant team in the nation. They just have to play like it. And I love the fact that we are just belt to ass the first 2 weeks of this college football playoffs. We want the hardest road. We want everyone to talk shit about our year. We're going week 1, murder Tennessee. Week 2, murder Oregon. Can't wait for Texas. We want the hardest schedule possible. Give us whoever the hardest team left in the playoffs is.
Has it been the hardest schedule?
That's true, because the
margin of victory is the largest for Ohio State of any team. I mean, you're looking at Texas. They had a grinded out game in the first round, 14-point win. Double overtime win.
Yeah, maybe it is
That
Texas.
is a difficult schedule. When you're going back-to-back games like this, that is a difficult schedule. Wouldn't you say so? They have kind of a cakewalk.
I mean, tip the cap to fucking Ohio State. That was, unbelievable. Yeah, very impressive. I have a really hot theory that, it's hard to actually say because 2 out of the 4 teams are kind of weird. Boise State and Arizona State, they're kind of shaky. But no. But stop. Hear me out.
We'll stop.
My theory is that maybe the super long, extra bye weeks for these teams with the first round byes actually don't do them good.
Yeah.
I think it kind of stops the momentum of the football team. And I think it's a lot harder for them to get back into their midseason form. And I feel like, in my personal opinion, that might be what happened here with Oregon. I think you guys were, in general, like I said this on the podcast.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think that's a lot of people.
Because of scheduling. I think they screwed up who should be playing who. Oregon has the 1 seed and hasn't lost a game all year and won the Big Ten. Should not have to play anyone but the worst seed available. And it's so much bullshit that they have to play the hardest team, in my opinion, in left.
The toughest thing about that also, and I get the worst seed. Ohio State's interesting, right? Because they shouldn't have been that high of a seed regardless because having lost to Michigan at the end. So they're going to, no matter what, not be a top 2 Big Ten team. So I think it's unfortunate for Oregon that Ohio State lost to Michigan is really what I think it was.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about not having to play that high of a seed, yes, I agree. But no matter what, Notre Dame and who else? Penn State and all these teams like Texas are going to be ranked ahead of Ohio State, regardless of how you chop it up, right? So Ohio State might actually have ended up being the worst ranked team remaining, regardless of the seeding.
I'm saying they shouldn't be playing like.
Yeah, it should be Boise or whoever below them. But I think Ohio State as a team, you're totally right, is playing the best football of any team in the country right now by far. I don't think any team should be under a field goal spread against them. I don't think it will. One thing I was kind of surprised about with Oregon was their play calling and the lack of urgency. Early in the game, when you saw that your defense wasn't going to be able to slow Ohio State, which shouldn't have been a surprise, really, because Ohio State scored 31 in Oregon with a lot of miscues.
Yeah.
Penn State scored 37 in a regulation game. Oregon's defense hasn't been. Boise State scored 31 points on them. So you're going to need to get 40 points pretty much to beat Ohio State in a neutral site Rose Bowl game. The running up the middle, the delayed draws, they ran 28 times for negative 23 yards. And I know that includes sacks and QB runs and stuff. But if you take away the quarterback's numbers, their running back Jordan James, 7 carries, 14 yards. Jaden Lamar, number 2 carries, 4 yards. Then they had 6 carries, 3 yards, 1 carry, negative 1 yard. They didn't move the ball forward, rushing the ball, and they did it 28 times. So I just thought there was some weird lack of urgency. Almost Ryan was saying they were scared the whole game, and I don't disagree. It looked like they were scared. This is obviously a tough draw for Oregon, but I don't feel bad. In the college football playoffs, that's the whole thing. Everyone will end up having to play. If you're the better team, you'll end up playing them, right? It doesn't matter when. Yeah, it would have looked cooler, right, if Oregon could have played a worse team and ended up playing Ohio State next round or something. This would still happen next round. Maybe they have an extra game of warmed up. Maybe they're not coming off cold, which I agree. I think the college football playoffs needs to work on how they do the seeding and letting teams play. Maybe they go to 16 teams, everyone plays, and just home field for 2 rounds. And
I love that.
Or just Boise State and Arizona never just ranked where they should be.
Yeah, Arizona State.
Like Boise State is not a 3 seed.
They were what were they? The 9.
Oh well,
It should be whatever they ranked in the poll what they put on the side of the bracket.
The problem is conference champions getting the bye.
Well,
that's the real problem.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing as being ranked as the 3 and Arizona State the 4.
Yeah.
Arizona State, I know we already talked about the game with Texas. They belonged in the playoffs. They were one of the best teams. They were one of the best teams in college football at the end of the year. Very South Carolina-esque. I know South Carolina lost.
I think they would be in no matter what, even if they didn't.
But that's what I'm saying. If they kind of even if it wasn't auto bid for conference championships, the amount of ranked teams, they started beating a lot of ranked teams at the end.
Yeah.
And you look at the way in the bowl games, I know this isn't everything and some people opt out, some don't. Big 12 has actually done really well in the bowl games. I saw a lot of conversation after Arizona State held their own, just as we're talking about seedings and everything, that no one even talked about a 2-loss Big 12 team being an at-large bid. And seeing the way some of these other teams performed, like whether that was a Boise State from the Mountain West or the 2-loss SMU just being like a guaranteed in from the ACC, but 2-loss Big 12s weren't even in the conversation. There was 3-loss SEC teams.
Colorado got walked by.
I'm not talking about Colorado. I'm just saying BYU is a great example.
Yeah,
BYU's lost 2 games. It was to 2 playoff teams, and they beat 3 ranked teams this season. So there's. I think the Big 12 and other conferences will get their respect, but I totally agree that you shouldn't just auto get those walks because you get matchups like this, which are really unfavorable for Oregon.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, it's tough for Oregon. I just think we are that much better.
Yeah.
Oregon has an identity to them, and when they're quick passing, they're quick dump, and then go deep ball gets disrupted, they're screwed. And we were all over the line. Dylan Gabriel had no time to throw the ball, whether he was running around or trying to make crazy completions. Cornerbacks locked up. We didn't give away the deep ball this time because we were actually showing pressure. I just think with this defense plays anywhere near how it's been. We're not going to face anyone more challenging. They have the best wide receiving core we're going to face, in my opinion. They have the best quarterback we're going to face, in my opinion. So I think if we can control it like this, there's nothing I'll be afraid of. The rest of the
another thing that jumped out to me, I do want to say, Mike's trying to make it a Texas conversation.
What? Just explain to me what's better. Dylan Gabriel was a Heisman literally what was he, 3rd in Heisman, 4th in Heisman?
3rd in Heisman.
Like what is worse? The wide receiving core that's all 5 stars, which you have none. Your best one was Isaiah Bond until he left.
Hey, he's got Isaiah Bond.
And then you have a freshman in Moore who is all right, and then you have Wingo who I'll give you. What is Wingo better than? Wingo is Golden better than Tez Johnson.
I mean,
First round pick is tell me Golden's gonna go first round.
Des Johnson shouldn't be a first round pick. I want that on the record.
No, he will be.
No, he will be, but I don't.
He
think
should be.
I know he shouldn't. I don't like him. I love Dylan Gabriel though, and he actually statistically didn't have a bad game. One thing that was really bad, maybe good for Ohio State, but just bad for Oregon. The domination at the line of scrimmage. We already talked rushing yards for Oregon, right? Guess how many sacks Ohio State had? I don't know if you guys looked at these numbers.
probably 9.
8 sacks.
Yeah, it
Good
was
guess.
at 8.
They had 8 sacks. Guess how many sacks Oregon had?
0.
0. 0 sacks. Ohio State rushed for 181. Oregon 0 sacks. Oregon rushed for -23 and gave up 8 sacks. The fact that the 8 seed Ohio State could go in, I know whatever, they're still a top couple team, maybe the best team in the country, but could go in and play the 1 seed and just like man versus boy them at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, it's beautiful.
These are the type of numbers you'd expect to see from a Penn State Boise game.
Yep.
Right? Just at the line of scrimmage, looking at rushing and then sacks allowed on both sides. It's almost, I don't know what is going on with this Ohio State team, but something, maybe it was the Michigan loss. Maybe it was the best thing that
telling
was
you
for them.
best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, but if they're playing like this, they're not going to lose to anyone.
Yeah, no chance.
We get to an interesting point in the season, though, where the college football playoff, the wins totals, we were just laughing about this, are going to get skewed a lot with these 12-team playoffs because the playoff wins back in the days, any playoff win meant you played in a championship game next. You know what I mean? So now you could have a couple of playoff wins and then lose and still end up at like the 4th best team in the country.
Yeah.
It's the semifinals now, and this has been the spot where Ryan Day's really struggled.
Every time.
It's like to get to the championship or in the championship games. Obviously, he doesn't have a championship win. And so it's going to be really interesting, I think, as we approach closer to that game and the immediate shock of, oh my God, this Ohio State team looks undefeated, how this line moves. Everyone's just hammering Ohio State right now against Texas early. Maybe as it gets closer, they're like, wait a minute, Ohio State historically hasn't been great in these spots. And
Then we look at
elsewhere.
Texas, and they
But
also
yeah,
haven't looked great in this.
I was going to say it can kind of go both ways there. I think it'll just be an interesting thing because if this Ohio State keeps this up, the narrative about Ryan Day changes completely.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could see him on the sideline. You could tell it's a whole different
If
world.
you go into playoffs
yeah.
and dominate all teams like that are real close spreads that people think can beat you, and you win.
SEC, Big Ten, SEC.
If you go 20-point wins throughout the playoffs to win the Natty, that is a crazy thing.
No,
to
it'll be
do
the greatest.
in a 12-team
Yeah,
playoff.
it'll be the greatest thing ever.
Congrats to Ryan. Ohio State's moving on. There's a lot of college football left. You got to stay locked in with us. Let us know what you think in the comments. How are they going to stand up against Texas? Let us know.